What's up, everybody? Welcome tonight. Today we're going to be doing a live. I haven't done one a little bit, and now it's finally getting to be not as crazy. So, a great opportunity to sit down on a Friday night here and have a live with you guys and just have a little discussion about what's going to happen with the future of Pokemon. I know it's a good question. There's a lot of people that are in the Pokemon investment and Pokemon spectrum in general have been asking it. A lot more questions have been coming up when it comes into Reddit platforms and what's happening in the Pokemon TCG. And today I thought it'd be a good way to just open it up to you guys and see, what do you guys feel in the chat? What do you guys think is going to happen when it comes down to it? Scarlet and Violet right now is getting some resistance, which, is usually expected when we move into a new era of Pokemon. A lot of people tend to think that the eras are pretty congruent and that you just kind of keep moving forward and nothing really changes and everything just continues to happen. But typically it's further from the truth at the end of the day. A lot of times we do see pushback when we went from Sun and Moon. We ended with Cosmic Eclipse and all them great sets that were coming out at the end of Sun and Moon. And then Sword and Shield came out, and then we kind of slowed down, except for the boom really pushed Sword and Shield over and really brought a lot of new people into this hobby, a lot of new people into Pokemon TCG. And once again, that's a very big help when it comes down to the overall perspectives that we see in the different eras. But overall, I do see some really good things happening in Scarlet and Violet. I think that it has some really good opportunities to do extremely well. The Illustrator rares are definitely doing really well, in my opinion. They're doing a good job. They're creating new things that have a really good opportunity in the long run to do well in the future, especially these kind of evolutionary lines that they continue to do. We got the Gardevoir in Scarlet and Violet. Now we're going to be getting the 3 starters here in Paldea Evolved. So there's some really good opportunities in that end of things too. So just before I get started, if there is anybody out there, make sure you guys hit the like button if you're just joining. Second of all, make sure in the comments you let me know, can you hear my audio and is the video doing well? Once again, it's been kind of interesting with the internet here the last few days. We've been having a few storms here. Finally, we got some rain, and of course, it's been causing some of those issues. How is it going, TKO Attic? Hopefully you're having a good Friday afternoon here. Let's see. But no, like I said, this conversation today is going to be partially driven by the chat if you guys have any questions. Otherwise, the other thing I have is I do have a Paldea Evolved pre-release kit. Probably open that tonight too, just to relax and check out what we're getting inside of that set. This would be my first look. Typically we do the pre-release tournaments, but the owner of the LGS had an emergency and ended up closing it down this time, so he's not doing the pre-release. But since I go there every time for pre-release, he gave me the built battle box just to open it on my own and have some fun. Let's see. Dream League. Yeah, Japanese Cosmic Eclipse has skyrocketed. Yeah, and that's been a pretty consistent thing that we've seen with it. Once again, when you're looking at what's going on right now in the spectrum for investment and for the future of the Pokemon TCG, you're really looking at that Japanese market right now and how long can it sustain the way it's going. A lot of things are happening. A lot of things are going on, and there's some really big good things in Japanese. A lot of people have been collecting Japanese for a long period of time and are now kind of getting frustrated because it's more difficult for them to be able to get things. We're kind of almost seeing the same kind of like boom that we did in English back in 2020. Now it's kind of happening in Japanese. Hype and FOMO and difficulty of getting things. But yeah, there's a lot of things, even some team up cards. I mean, we look at the price of some of these team up cards right now, and they are just going absolutely crazy, even in the English market. So once again, it's a overall just a moving target right now when it comes down to it. There's a lot of things happening right now, and things are kind of scattered in different places. Once again, I think that we're seeing some of these things are kind of pushback. People are kind of pushing back because we're having a lot of uninterest in, of course, inside of Scarlet and Violet. And personally, it's still taking a little bit to even grow on me. I'm looking at potentials in it, and I'm seeing opportunities in it. But in general, it still hasn't quite grown on me yet. I mean, it's the first set. Let's give it a little bit of time. Let's give it a little bit of availability to grow and see how it does overall. But right now, it's definitely one of those things that, I think we're seeing some people kind of draw back. Scarlet and Violet is pushing people away a little bit because it's not what we expected. The silver borders is a tough thing to swallow. In general, we're seeing some really difficult changes. We're not getting alternate arts per se. We're getting these special illustrator arts. And it's a new lineup of characters. We're seeing a new lineup of the starters coming out and their evolutions. We're seeing a new lineup of some other different Pokemon showing up, and it's going to be a change. I mean, the actual overall aspect even in the anime has changed. We're getting a new protagonist inside of there that's going to change the direction of the anime also, which is going to be interesting to see how that will eventually kind of start working into the cards. You know, we're going to have new protagonists. We're going to probably start seeing some of those cards come in, some of those trainer cards, and some of those interactions like Ash's Pikachu and Ash inside of the Pokemon TCG going forward. So let's see here. We've got Mason. People do want to pull rare things, and Scarlet and Violet having things being so easy to hit, I think takes the chase out of it in a big way. And I agree. I think that that's probably one of the downsides that I would say is that it's really easy to pull out some of these cards. Even the gold cards out of there, I've pulled now in very few packs. Actually, I've pulled both of the gold cards right out of that set. I've pulled a bunch of gold energies now, even coming down to, you know, the Gardevoir EX. I've pulled a Gardevoir EX, the illustrator art, and all the way down through all the lines. So I've personally pulled those lines. So what you would think would be very difficult without a chase, or would be a chase, is not a chase in Scarlet and Violet because of those pull rates. So Mason, maybe you can put in a chat, is that going to continue from what you've seen into Paldea Evolved? I'm just kind of curious to know, because you've probably been opening it and been doing some things with it, so I'm sure you've seen what's going to happen. That I do not know. TK Addict, I'm not 100% sure. I have not seen the pull rates on that particular card, but typically I'm going to guess it's going to be easier to pull in English. Typically Japanese is more difficult to pull just because there's more secret rares, and it's only one secret rare per box typically in the Japanese, so it is harder to pull secret rares in Japanese. But in English, of course, that's not necessarily a secret rare, so you may pull it more readily inside of boxes inside an English version. That's very common. That's what would happen with Miriam, and I think a lot of people that knew that Miriam in English would not perform as well as the Japanese, just because the pull rate was going to be a lot more inside of that particular product. Well, let's see. Let's go. Hey, Package Donkey 87, thanks for joining us. Mason, I had at 1.10 of those. Yeah. In my case. Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of predicting too. I think there's going to be a lot of those trainers are going to get pulled a lot more easily than they do in Japanese. It's normal. That's not anything that's not expected here when it comes to the English. What I've seen, I think the chases are... Well, that's good to hear. I'm hoping that they are a little bit harder. There's a few more chase cards, of course. And once again, I do like those evolutionary lines, so I'm hoping that those are a little bit more difficult to chase, especially the top rarity. The Gardevoir EX was pretty easy to pull, in my opinion, so there is a lot of them out there, and even price-wise, it shows that. Once again, Miriam is all over the place, so... Yeah, I mean, we need something that's a chase. Pokemon's got to get a chase back into this. I understand they're building a new mechanic. They're building a new, building a new set, and they're trying to get that going for the mechanic side of things. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the collectors are definitely in it for a chase to try and get that chase card and really try and work at getting that. Right. So anyways, yeah, and that's what I want to talk about. Is just, where do we see futuristically Scarlet and Violet? Like I said, I keep talking about it and you get pushback. It's interesting in the chats of like my videos where I talk about Scarlet and Violet products, and when I talk about Sword and Shield products, how many people just don't really have interest in Scarlet and Violet, and some people are really into it. Some people really do think that it's going to be slept on and that people aren't really interested in it at this point in time. So it's definitely one of those things that it's going to be really interesting to see overall in the future how well these particular sets are perceived. It's going to take a while to perceive. We got new starters, we got new protagonists, we've got a lot of new things happening in Scarlet and Violet, and we're going to take I'd say it's probably going to take a year and a half before we really know how this set's perceived. And it's going to be really interesting to see what Pokemon will start rolling out in the future. Right now we're in the base set, we're in the first two sets, and if you look at Sun and Moon first couple sets, you look at Sword and Shield's first couple sets, even XY Evolutions, the first couple sets are always slow. They're slower moving, They're slower going, and it takes a little bit of time to get that whole round up and get things built into it. Pokemon will start adding more chase cards. They'll add new cards. We'll see, like Amazing Rares came in a little bit later in Sword and Shield. Then alternate arts came a little bit later. And then finally we ended up with trainer galleries. And you're going to continue to see that build up. And Scarlet and Violet, at least that's my prediction, is we will be seeing that build up continue. And it'll be really interesting to see what we will have at the end of the day. I saw a single lone Secret Illustrator rare all weekend out of over 1,000 packs, compared to Scarlet and Violet pre-release where I saw 5 SIR. Yeah, so that's a good thing. I personally, I think that could create a chase. And yeah, like you said, I know, Mason, when you were talking about that, you were saying that Miriam was pretty common to pull. It was fairly easy comparatively to a lot of other cards. But yeah, I mean, if you've only seen one, maybe they are putting the chase on that. So it might be that we won't see as many of them. I mean, it comes down to the print rate of it. So good to know. Good to know with the pre-release going through that we are seeing that. What's a good buy price for Lost Origins after the reprint? It depends on the size of the reprint. Be honest. I guess I haven't heard any news on how big it is yet. How much we're getting. If it's a bigger one, I would think that the Lost Origins could drop all the way down to 130, 120. You could even see go down to 110 with a massive reprint. But if we get a small reprint like we've been seeing, and it depends. Are you talking about booster boxes or are you talking about ETBs? Because they've been really good at just printing the crap out of ETBs. We get a lot of ETBs on a reprint and very few booster boxes. And that's been the kind of consistent thing that we've been seeing. And I don't know if Pokemon's going to change that futuristically. I think that they've kind of found that they have more opportunity to sell ETBs, more places to sell them, and it just works out better, I think, personally, is what I'm seeing. Modern is in a bubble. I don't think so. I don't think Modern's in a bubble at all right now. We're seeing consistent growth due to lack of supply. It's not falsely being... Yeah, and that's Mason just said it down there. Just to go back to the first one. Yeah, Mason's probably right. They're not going to be selling it at normal wholesale. They're going to be selling at higher price, which is also going to hold that value up. Modern, I don't believe, is in a bubble currently, at least in English. Japanese could be a different story. Personally, I think Japanese is getting pushed into a pretty good bubble. But Modern English currently right now, I don't believe is in a bubble. We're seeing growth because of lack of supply. It's not being falsely pushed by content creators and influencers and things like that pushing up the market as much. As long as we don't have supply and it's just slowly moving up in its gradual pace that it's doing due to the supply amounts, I don't believe that it's currently in a bubble myself. Like I said, Japanese, personally, I think futuristically we could see some corrections on that, because I do think there's a lot of hype and FOMO right now in those Japanese products that's slowly pushing those prices up over and over and over again. And there's certain things that are just continually pushing them over and over and over again. Influencers, they have people doing buyouts, they have people paying ridiculous amount of money for some of these cards over there to then resell them at an even higher price. So we're seeing the ultimate things that could cause a bubble to happen inside of those in that particular market. But in English Modern, I don't see a bubble currently. But then again, sometimes it's really hard to see bubbles until they actually break. So I don't personally think we are. I think that we are probably doing right what we should be. I don't see those. Typically, if you sit there and analyze things and really look at things and kind of break them down overall, you can really see that, hey, this is way overvalued for what you're getting in it. And this is way undervalued for what you're getting in it. And you start seeing those really big deviations in products. And a lot of people that are working in right now on the investment side of things and really looking at the investment and the market side of things are seeing that there aren't really those big, fluctuations between high and low. We're not seeing those really big, way undervalued things and way overvalued things. And there's a couple of them, like personally to me, Evolving Skies, that Moonbrion's a little bit inflated. To me, it's a little bit too high in price. And I know some people make the argument that, hey, it's hard to pull. And I get that, but you got to look at how many are already out there and available on the market. I mean, I think you go to eBay, you could go to a lot of places right now and buy 100 Moonbryons fairly easily. It wouldn't take very much to buy 100 Moonbryons raw right now today. And even in a PSA 10 form, there's a lot of them out there. You could go right now and probably buy 25, 30 of them pretty easily on eBay in a few minutes. So that particular card, to me, I could see the argument that, hey, it's kind of overvalued. I mean, there's a lot of hype and FOMO and excitement about that card, and that's why Evolving Skies is also kind of moving up in that upward direction like it did. But once again, you have to look at it going, why is that valued so high? Why is the Moonbryon truly valued that high? What makes it? Is it rarity? Well, not really. It's not that rare. Some people like to go to team up. Well, it's like a team up box. Team up boxes are $1,000 because of things. And that's not necessarily true either. Evolving Skies has gotten a lot more reprint and a lot more product put out there than we did with Team Up. So Team Up is its own little bubble because its last reprints were canceled. We never did get more product out there, and that's another thing that can influence those prices. So once again, is Evolving Skies maybe a little bit overpriced right now? I could make the argument, and I would say my argument is that it might be a little bit overpriced currently. Do I think that that box has potential to do extremely well in the future? Yes, I think as long as there's interest in the Moonbryon, as long as those other alternate arts continue to kind of move up in price, if we can see consistent value in EV inside of those boxes, then it would make sense for people to continue to purchase those products, right? And that's where you're going to be able to see that potential bubble continue. But for how long is the real question at the end of the day before we see a price correction on that. So, but yeah, I mean, those are things futuristically it'd be interesting to see. Undervalued products, it's really hard to do undervalued unless you're really digging around and looking through like V boxes. There's some really good opportunities right now currently in V boxes inside of the market right now that if you look at them, you can get Evolving Skies packs, you can get Brilliant Stars packs, you can get a lot of good packs inside of these actual particular products that have some good value inside of them. Once again, I even did a little demonstration with the trainer, or the trainer box, the purple trainer box that they come in. Those were another one that there's actually some really good packs inside of there for the price range you're looking at, and they are like $19, and you're getting enough packs and potential to double that just by breaking that box down. And I know Mason and I had talked about that before with the blue one, that he was doing the exact same thing for that particular one also. So it seems like certain products do have some potential to be a little bit undervalued, but in general, most of them are staying pretty consistently currently. So, and once again, guys, this is for the chat too. I wanted to have a discussion with you guys. So if you guys have any questions or want to bring up a discussion point, please do. I'd more than welcome to have discussions on those things and definitely take a look and put my point of view on it. So, but anyways, but futuristically, where do we look for our investment? Where are we really looking at for when it comes down to Pokemon investing in the market itself, and where do we see it going? Overall, I think a lot of Sword and Shield sets are still going to do extremely well. It seems, like I said at the beginning, being really hesitant to where people are kind of pulling away from Scarlet and Violet a little bit. Number one, I hear a lot of people complaining about the borders. Number two, I hear a lot of people talking about the actual Pokemon that are in it. The starters aren't good enough. I mean, you go all the way down through pull rates are too easy. There's no chase. So, and once again, that's that whole era change. And anybody that's been here through a, Pokemon era change, when you went from Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield, trust me, it was a really similar conversation when it came down to the actual players and actually the collectors that I knew back in that frame. And it continually kind of grows. People kind of grow into it. Even VMAXs were not very popular when they were first seen. The whole, Gigamax and things like that just was not a popular thing at first. And then it kind of grew into people. And sometimes it just takes that time. At the end of the day, that's really what we might need for a lot of these sets to mature a little bit. Have people look at them. Scarlet and Violet right now, I mean, I've had some people post up some things where they were finding it for $105 a box. To me, that's a fantastic price right now in a Scarlet and Violet set because of the price of the actual booster boxes to distributors or from distributors. So that could be one of those things that really has some influence overall for that market price also, is that we have a higher ceiling than most of the Sword and Shield products, which may also influence how well they perform. All right. So, like I said, I do have a couple packs down here. I was just thinking I would go ahead and and open these up, and we'll check out the Paladin Evolve, because I was kind of curious. I wanted to do the pre-release tournament, but like I said, it got canceled. So I'm going to go ahead and kick down to the other screen here. Trade. Do you have a set amount you invest into every set? Typically, yes. So I typically have a set number of product that I purchase, and I try and keep it at a certain price point. So currently so Scarlet and Violet, my goal was to get 2 cases of every booster, or every set that came out of booster boxes. So far, I have not done that. It was 4, and now I'm just trying to do 2. I think I'm going to keep it at 2 just for the finance part of it. Personally, I just can't seem to get enough value to jump forward, but I do have a set amount I try and stay at. I have that kind of budgeted in based on the actual set and how much I want to buy. So I try and get booster boxes at a set price or a certain price, and then kind of fill my budget in from there. But that's kind of my goal. That's what we work at. And like I said, I was kind of sad we didn't do the pre-release tournament on this, so it's going to be my first pre-release. So I've got this one, so that's going to be the pre-release promo on here. And then of course you get the 4 packs Paladin Evolve. So just want to open this set. This is going to be my first time opening any of this. I know some people got lucky and got some pre-release, early release stuff, and definitely cool that they came out in Walmart early. I don't know, code cards shouldn't matter, I don't think, on this particular set. So everybody that's watching wants a code card. There you go. I don't know if it's active yet, but it's got to be getting close. So here we go. We're going to go with a Magikarp. And I got to check. I got to see if I can get some Pokemon 151. Personally, I want to try and get some Pokemon 151. That'd be kind of fun to open on here. Get a reverse, and there's going to be your first holo. Follow with an energy. So energy. So yeah, no, like I said, that's the biggest thing is that I kind of wanted to discuss was just futuristically, where do we see Scarlet and Violet, you know, moving forward, you know, and continuing to be this slow? I don't think so. I think it's going to come down to how soon until people kind of start to grow into it more than anything. And that's going to take a little bit of time. There's going to be some growing pains into the sets. There's got to be a little bit more interest coming into it. Should be spelt Mama Snow Lamar. So give it some time, guys. If you're interested in investing into it, I honestly think that there's going to be some good opportunities futuristically with it. I see some really good things, especially on the next set coming through here. And if Mason's right and the pull rates are a little bit harder than they were on the first one, that's great. To me, the pull rates were a little bit easy on Scarlet and Violet. It was pretty simple to get that, which once again kills that chase, and it keeps people from having interest inside of it. Now watch this. I'm going to get a dud box. You watch. And there we go. Overall, guys, what is your guys' thoughts on it so far? What are you guys thinking of Scarlet and Violet and Paladin Evolve? I mean, I'm curious to know what you guys think in the chat. And once again, I just like to know what people's positions are on it, because sometimes my position can be way off from everybody else's, and that's fine. Everybody's good to have a good thought process and really look at it their own way. And sometimes collectively you can get some really good information from that. And oh, there we go. First gold card. See, Mason, it isn't that hard to pull gold. So there we go. We got a little gold, followed by that. So there you go. Got my first gold card right out of the gate in Paladin Evolve. So not bad at all. Overall, I'm excited. I think Paladin Evolve, I really want to see. I'm probably going to try and build a deck or add to my deck with this and see what we can do. So there we go. And that's what this is something I've been having a real issue with Pokemon. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this. So if you look at this card, the front is off center, really thin, pretty well centered top and bottom, but it's way shifted over one way. And then if you look at the back, it's almost perfectly centered. So when they are actually quality wise putting these together, the top is mismatched from the bottom. Really sucks when that happens. Not a huge fan of these first two sets. However, I can see Pallade having a buzz in the future, and I can too. I think that overall, I think that there's an opportunity for it to do rather well. Especially if the starters start to get some traction. Once again, this set's going to be more focused on those starters and those first three starters, and how they perform after that are going to be, is it really going to be how it's going to end up. So, and if they do slow, I mean, they may never do well. The set may be really slow all the way. I think the next set coming up looks really nice. At least the products look really nice. Here we go, guys. I'm going to got a few of these from Walmart today, so we're going to go ahead and jump through a couple of these. I got a couple Lost Origins. Once again, I still like Sword and Shield. I like Lost Origins. Lost Origins is a fun set. The only thing that really sucks in Lost Origins for me is I can't pull a Trainer Gallery card to really save my life. Trainer Gallery has been really difficult, and I don't know if it's just this set or if it's just me. Sometimes it's just me. And we're going to get a V. There you go. We got a V right off the bat. Thoughts on Hidden Fates. According to TCG Player, ETB is at 160 and the packs are at 19 a piece. When you factor in the promo, there's quite a bit of discrepancy there. There is, but you got to watch TCG Player on Hidden Fates. There aren't a lot of people selling it on TCG Player, and personally, I've tracked it both ways. If you start looking at eBay is a little bit different pricing than we are seeing on TCG Player. You can buy ETBs currently for roughly 140, 135 to 140. They have gone up a little bit recently, so the prices have increased a bit. Oop, I screwed up over here. So I would look around a little bit for Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates is getting some discrepancy, and I think it's just because of the amount of people listing it. People are more focused on Sword and Shield right now. Hidden Fates, once again, I talked about that, was hype and FOMO, and kind of fell out of hype and FOMO a little bit later, and that's why I think you're seeing a little bit of that price discrepancy. And overall, I think it could do well. It could keep going up. I think it will keep moving up. And I don't think that $19 a pack is probably the right price. I think that I just looked at picking some up and they were about 14. And if you shop around, that may be why they're sitting on that at that price also. So just keep your eyes open on Hidden Fates. There's some interesting things happening with the price discrepancy on where you look at it and where you're looking for it, and that's going to be part of it. Let's see. Digi Smithy, thank you for joining tonight. What do we got? The first year of a generation is not that great. Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield. Don't do crazy things until you're 2 and 3. Exactly. And that's exactly what I've said. I think that there's definitely a grow-in period for every single one of the sets. We got to have a little bit of time for people to get into it. We got a lot of people even now don't want anything to do with Scarlet and Violet. They want to stay back in Sword and Shield. They enjoy Sword and Shield, and I completely understand. I enjoy Sword and Shield. I still like opening Lost Origins and Silver Tempests. They're probably right now my two favorite ones to open. Number one, because I can still find them pretty easily at the store. Come on. And a Raichu. You can find them pretty easily at the store, but overall, I enjoy them. I still like Sword and Shield. I like the alternate art chase. The chase was too easy in Scarlet and Violet, and I really hit my chase cards like right off the bat within, I think I opened the equivalent of like a booster box, just random packs. It's like these cardboard blisters and stuff. So it didn't take very long to actually complete the sets. And that's like Mason and I said earlier, it really does hurt that at the end of the day. It hurts the perception of a set. I'm not seeing anything below 150 on eBay. Okay, well that might have changed then, because just what was it? Last weekend I was looking and it was about 140. So maybe Hidden Fates is finally making a move again. We thought it I did say about a month ago that it should start going up because all the other Sun and Moon sets are making a move. So that was the only one that was kind of sitting behind. So it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't if it actually started moving up. Got that. Ooh, and there you go. Got a V card. 2 V cards. So once again, I still like opening stuff. I am still a Pokemon fan and I like opening it. Pretty sure Pokemon is saving Paradox Pokemon for year 2 and 3. Oh, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're going to hold back on some of those things, and I'm sure we're going to find, something like a Prism card or an Amazing Rare, or something's going to show up, and that's definitely going to be a change. It's definitely going to be coming up. They're going to do something, 2 and 3, they're going to continue to build and build and build, and they're going to continue to keep growing on that platform. We're going to see different illustrator rares. We're going to see different types of rares, probably. We're going to see all these things. The one cards that I am missing, I'm going to say it, I miss rainbow rares. I miss pulling rainbow rares out of the sets. Even now with Scarlet and Violet, I do miss them. Let's see. Trey, I believe Hidden Fates will begin to move up once Shining Fate starts to have an upward movement. I'd imagine people are seeing the similarities and moving towards a cheaper set currently. Yeah, I think so. I thought that too, but I think it was more the Sun and Moon block was just kind of not moving. If you've looked at Sun and Moon, that end of the Sun and Moon era just really wasn't moving at all. People were so focused on alternate arts and being on alternate arts and wanting alternate arts, and they were really set on that. And once we moved into Scarlet and Violet, it seemed like everybody went back to Sun and Moon. So then we saw Team Up starting to move, and Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, Cosmic Eclipse, all of them started to kind of lift all at one time, and they all started to move up, but yet Hidden Fates just sat. So everything moved around it, but Hidden Fates sat down there in that little hole. And overall, I think that's why I said back then, even about a month ago, that Hidden Fates has got to move eventually. You got everything else around it. It's like all the skyscrapers, and you've got the little house in between the skyscrapers. Eventually, someone's going to make that move, and that thing's going to start moving up at the end of the day. It's just generally going to happen if everything in error or everything around it, every set around it that has about the same thing, and overall, it should just start to come up. It's just natural growth and movement at the end of the day. To me, as somebody who likes the cards in this generation, the silver border makes things weird because the highest rarities right now is also so. Yeah, I agree. And that's where I kind of said I wish that they would have left the yellow borders on the low rarities, the commons, the uncommons, things like that. I think it would have been just fine to leave just the yellow borders behind it, and then anything ultra rare and above would have been great, like the trainer gallery cards in Sword and Shield. That would have been fantastic if them were silver. I mean, our Hoot Hoot looks like crap with the yellow border. It looked fantastic with the silver border in Japanese. All the trainer galleries, in my opinion, looked better with the silver border. I wish they would have done that in English and left the commons and uncommons with yellow. Just leave them alone with where they were. But as the rarity got higher, definitely change them to borderless or silver bordered on the trainer gallery cards and things like that. I do see the comparison, but boy, does Hidden Fates seem like a significantly better set. It is. I would 100% agree with that. Hidden Fates to me is still the better Shining set. Shining Fates is Hidden Fates Light, and it does not quite compare. And the other part of it is the amount of Shining Fates we get. They just seem to keep finding more and more and more Shining Fates. Hidden Fates, even though it got a lot of reprints, they weren't it didn't seem like it was these big of reprints. ETBs were never found readily on the shelf. I mean, even when it came out, the ETBs disappeared extremely quickly on Hidden Fates, and there was a lot of people opening those ETBs. So, once again, it just seems like Shining Fates, they either are printing a ton more than they did Hidden Fates, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, as much as we've seen out there, it's still a fun, cheap set to open and try and get those baby shinies, chase that Charizard and have a little bit of fun in it. But overall, Hidden Fates to me, I think, has better Pokemon characters in that that shiny vault, the baby shinies, and also that Charizard to me is a little bit more impressive and a little bit rarer than it is with the Shining Fates version. I mean, I've got two of the Shining Fates Charizards now, and the Hidden Fates Charizard, I still didn't pull it even when I was pulling packs back then. I still have never pulled the Hidden Fates Charizard. So once again, it seems like it's a more difficult pull, a little bit rarer. I was going to actually look at the comparison because I was kind of curious to know, if I have time, go look at the PSA version of it, and look at PSA and look at the population report of the Shining Fates Charizard and the Hidden Fates Charizard, just to see what's the differentiation between the numbers of them. Is there a lot more or less of one or the other? And my guess is there's probably a lot less of the Hidden Fates, because the price of the Hidden Fates Charizard is quite a bit more than the Shining Fates Charizard at the end of the day. So which tells me there's probably more of them, and of course it's a little bit older too, so that's another thing we got to look at. But yeah, no. So yeah, and if I had my screen set up, I would go do that, but we're gonna have to hold. My screens aren't set up to go to PSA. But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of what I want to do. Just kind of hang out tonight, guys. Like I said, I just want to open a few cards here. I had a few packs sitting around. Figured I'd get caught up with you guys. It's been a while since I've done a live, and I keep trying to do more of them, and I keep not doing more of them, and I apologize for that. Just crazy trying to get the farm done. Tried to get a tattoo today, burned my arm trying to work on a tractor. That was fun. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, just trying to keep equipment running more than anything right now. But that'll end here in June. We'll be out of the final planting here next week. We're done with corn, and we're moving into our soy, or our hay fields. So that's definitely going to be something. Trey, I never even got to open Hidden Fates. As I left Pokemon in 2018. And have only been back in the last 6 months. And Hidden Fates is a lot of fun to open. I loved opening Hidden Fates before the pricing went completely crazy. Pricing did go up, but there was a lot of, like, the Raichu boxes and things like that, were actually what I purchased a lot of, is, the boxes that went with it. Premium collection boxes disappeared really quickly. ETBs were pretty difficult to find on the store shelves because people were purchasing them rather quickly, but you could find them. You'd run into them here and there. But they were still fairly reasonable to purchase online. Once again, we didn't have this crazy hype and FOMO where people were purchasing these things for $50 and go and try and sell them for 140, the day of release. And that just wasn't happening back then. It was a completely different time, a lot more laid back and more reasonable at the end of the day. And, I picked up a couple of them even on eBay and Craigslist when I want to open Hidden Fates at the ETBs, because I did want the promo and things like that out of it. And then I got the one back there that I got a display. I purchased that one back. That's one of the earlier sets, ETBs, the first release ones. And I think I was buying them for like $62 on eBay. So it really wasn't a huge increase. Yeah, it was $12 more, but it was a really fun set, really popular. The ETBs were really popular. So overall, still a lot of fun. If you were back in that time, definitely Hidden Fates is a lot of fun to work with. So, like I said, guys, I just want to talk about that, where we see things going futuristically. I think people really need to start just relaxing and just letting Scarlet and Violet do its thing. Let the whole era do its thing, kind of continue to move forward and kind of just keep slipping up forward. And let's see where it goes. As more people get into it, people start opening more product, people start having a little bit more fun with it, and I think people need to stop looking at everything as an investment. Scarlet and Violet to me right now is just fun to open. It's fun to get into the set and do some things with it. Yeah, you pull the pull cards, the chase cards really quickly, but I am working on building a battle deck now with it too and incorporating that. So that's going to be my next big step, is to try and get my battle deck in, because I need to get back into some tournaments. Again, I haven't been to one for a little bit. Like I said, I was going to go last weekend to the pre-release tournament, and it got canceled. So I stopped there today and I got the pre-release box. So he saved one, or had one behind the counter. He just gave it to me because I always come to the pre-release tournaments, every single one. So he just didn't give it to me. He sold me the box without me having to actually be inside of the tournament. What's this at Digi? With Ancient Roar and Future Flash coming out of Japan about October, I'm leaning towards our first set of 2024. I think you're probably right. That should, timing wise, it might be a December set here. But I know we should be getting the equivalent to Pokemon 151 in October here. So yeah, I think that that's going to probably be Christmas, December set, or it'll be a January set here in English. How do you feel about Sword and Shield and prior ETBs will perform due to the EBTs being STEM? How do you feel the Sword and Shield and prior ETBs will perform now due to the new? Oh, because the new ETBs have the. Okay, I get you. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I think I'm back. Sorry about that. The whole thing kind of dropped out for a minute and came back. But when it comes down to Sword and Shield, ETBs got reprint. In the past, reprints were on booster boxes, and the ETBs had free reign to just one dump, first time release, and then they just went up. And now we're seeing that kind of change. That dynamic completely flip flopped in Sword and Shield, and that's why we are seeing booster boxes now continuing to perform extremely well, while ETBs are really cheap. Certain sets are still sitting pretty low at the end of the day when it comes down to it. I think they are already showing us. Basically, they sell at price per pack. Yeah. I also think Scarlet Violet coming out a month later and pushing everything forward. We already know the set list because of Japan spoilers. Now, not that our next set. Yeah, and we always pretty much know, I mean, basically what's coming inside the set. The only thing that we usually get a lot of times is we don't know when some cards will be released. So, for example, that Celebi alternate art got pushed, could have technically been in Chilling Reign and then got pushed all the way in the Fusion Strike, because English, instead of having the singularity and the very consistent and congruent sets of, identity, which we don't get in English. The Japanese sets are very identifiable. They're very driven. So battle styles, of course, you had the rapid strike boxes and the single strike boxes. You could go all the way down the list of all the different sets, and they're very identified. While in English, they just cram them all together and create it. So even Evolving Skies, technically in Japan, has 3 different sets. You've got EV Heroes, you've got Jet Blue Sky, and then there's one other one, Towering Perfection. So there's 3 sets inside of Evolving Skies, and they all get crammed in. They just smash everything in. And then we get what we call in English a garbage set. And what I call a garbage, it's a trash can fire of everything that's left over. And we need to burn it before the end of the year. We need to keep it in the right designation, so it has to stay in the D tournament play for Worlds. So, hey, Fusion Strike is the last booster box set of that particular one coming out. So here, shove everything we got left over into there that we didn't put in the other sets, and that way it's playable in English. It meets the mark. It keeps that, A, B, D, C, whatever designation on the bottom of the card. And that's how they will continue to do it, I think, in English. So whether we'll get all the cards from those 3 sets will yet to be seen, but I do think that they will all be in the recent sets coming up. Kenny, do you look at Japanese Pokemon products? The textures are so much better than the quality in general. I mean, just in general, Kenny, they're so much better. I love the English ones. So let me see if I got it. So I opened up some of the V-Star Universe, which reminds me, I got to put out the winner for that. I wonder if I got it here. I know I had it. But the Articuno, that was a promo here in the United States, or English. I thought I had it. Apparently I lost it. But yeah, here it is. So this Articuno to me is a perfect example of it. This promo in English looks like crap with the yellow border. And it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about is that certain cards in English could really benefit from the yellow, and some of them could really benefit from the silver. Overall, that Articuno to me is a beautiful artwork. It's a lot better done. The English is always subpar compared to the Japanese, and I wish the English printing quality would start meeting the Japanese print quality and the textures and the overall way that works, but so far hasn't happened. Trey, what do you think of Chilling Reign? Value-wise, it's easily the second best Sword and Shield set, and with the main card being some of the bigger Pokemon, I see it being a top 3 Sword and Shield set. Chilling Reign to me has got a lot of opportunity into it. It's got a lot of beautiful alternate arts in it that a lot of people forget, such as that Galarian Rapidash. I mean, that card is really, to me, a slept on card. There's a lot of different alternate arts in that particular set that people forget about. And I think Chilling Reign is going to be one of them sets. Right now, I think its value-wise has come up quite a bit, and I think it's a lot closer to where it should be for value currently in the market, just because there was a lot of print of that particular set, and there's still a lot of that product out there. Do I see it being one of the top 3 performers? And I could see it coming up into the top 5. I don't know if I would say it would be a top 3. Biggest reasons why is that you do still have Evolving Skies to contend with in this particular era. You also have Brilliant Stars, which has that alternate art Charizard and that alternate art Arceus inside of it. And Lost Origins has got the Pikachu Trainer Gallery, which has continually been pushing Lost Origins up quite a bit. The Giratina is definitely doing well. It's one of the top chase cards in there, and I do like the artwork of that particular card also. But I do think that it's going to be hard to top those 3 at the end. And Silver Tempest is also that Lugia keeps Gen 2 people really involved with it. And then it comes also down to, if you're just talking art itself, I would say that yes, Chilling Reign will probably be a very great set for the art. Overall, I would put it as a top 2-3 set as artwork. For the amount of alternate arts, the quality, the characters of the alternate arts, I think that it's really a hot set when it comes down to art. Overall, as performance-wise, I think that the amount of print on that one's going to continue to keep it out of that top 3 mark. I think even Silver Tempest may overshadow it, just depending on how much reprints we get at the end of the day. All right, the fact that Paldea Evolved is 3 sets is why I think it'll surprise people. Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, and I think we're going to see 2 to 3 sets just like always crammed into these booster boxes, and there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of illustrator arts inside of that particular set. So there's some great opportunity in Paldea Evolved to really do well when it comes down to the amount of artworks inside of that particular set. And that's going to be where I think it's going to depend on pull rate too. It needs to have a moderate pull rate, but it doesn't need to have a hard pull rate. I don't want to see an extremely hard pull rate set. Even like Evolving Cries and Chilling Reign, Chilling Reign was another one, Chilling Pain, because the alternate art, them illustrator arts or alternate arts inside of those sets were so difficult to pull that you had to pull so much of it that it actually is a draw away from it at the end of the day. That actually pulls people away from wanting to open that set because it's so difficult to get the cards. If it's got a moderate pull rate, not an easy, in between, if they can find a nice sweet spot between with 3 sets in it, there's some great opportunity for it to do well. Speaking on sleeping on things, I think with things being normal to how it was pre-boom, I think the bigger gains are in the low and mid-tier cards, at least. Yeah, and that I could actually get 100% behind that. The other one that I thought was interesting, and you guys can look at this. This is kind of something I've been looking at a little bit on stuff, is when we look at the Alakazam Radiant card. You can pick that up right now on TCG Player for like 75 cents. You can pick up a ton of those at like 75 cents a piece. And you could take those and grade them, and a PSA 10, a PSA 9 right now is selling for about $24, $24, $25. If you get a PSA 10 right now on that Radiant card, it's selling for $38 to $45. So you could take a 78 cents card, put a bunch of them into grading for $15 a card right now, and with shipping about $17 a card, and you could potentially almost double up. So you're getting about 40% return if you do get the 9s. If you really are good at figuring out 9s, at least get 9s and 10s on all of them. You could make up to, an 8% to 12% gain, all the way up to a 40% gain on that particular card from a 78 cent card. So there's some really good plays out there right now, especially in those lower value cards. Sometimes people are so focused on the alternate arts and these big cards of these sets that they don't look at some of the other smaller plays or smaller cards in those sets that are really low value and potentially have some really good turnarounds for the play, for plays in the Pokemon market currently on what's available out there. So definitely some opportunities that are available, and definitely some things you could be looking at those particular items. No. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of little sneaky plays sitting out there right now that you could be looking at, and it's not in the alternate arts. If you can pull alternate arts out of packs and then grade them, pull gold cards and then grade them and get good grades on them, then yes, those could be some really good plays. But if you are not pulling them and you're purchasing alternate arts, grading them, and then they don't come back as 10s, you're losing money typically. And that's not the greatest place to be. Also, that Radiant Alakazam is looking to be in 1 or 2 decks after Pallade Evolve, so expect a bump in price since Silver Tempest ain't getting a reprint yet. Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing I was hearing too, is I was actually talking to a guy tonight when I was at the LGS before I came on here, and he was saying the same thing, that Radiant Alakazam is going to be showing up after Pallade Evolve releases. So he said you're going to see that Alakazam be playable, which in turn is going to drive that price up. So once again, thanks Digi, another opportunity for a play. That Radiant Alakazam is showing some really good signs or potentials in the actual market right now, and it's kind of slept on. People aren't seeing it and people aren't realizing it. And like I said, that's an absolute opportunity. It's a low end card, guys. It's under $1 right now on TCG Player. You could buy a ton of them under $1, and I saw somebody had a binder. I think they were putting a binder together. They were trying to fill a whole binder with like 280 of them Alakazams. So someone's sitting potentially on a really good gold mine of them things, just messing around trying to fill a binder for a couple bucks a piece. But yeah, overall, I mean, that's kind of the plays right now. You know, you can really be looking at some of those grading plays are out there. I know you guys watched PSA grading cards. I'm going to start selling those, so I'll let you know what the overall result is on that whole thing. And like I said, I try to keep you up to date with, it's almost like a blog sometimes of how things are working out. So I will be letting you know how the PSA grading side went. I'm really excited with that Flareon alternate art from the promo. Definitely was really happy to get a 10 on that, but overall, I don't think that should have gotten a 10. Once again, it seems like sometimes PSA grades things really easy on some cards, and then other cards like that Lugia V, I still can't find it. And I think what I'm going to end up doing on that one will be a cool little experiment, is I'm going to crack that and I'm going to resubmit it with my next submission to see if it gets better than an 8. Personally, if I get a 9 on it, I wouldn't be incredibly surprised, because the front is well centered, but the back is slightly off center, and I know it. But when the first one came back, where the front and the back were off center, you could see it pretty easily just by visual. That tells me that they saw something else on there, and it might have just been dirt, might be a fingerprint. So that's why I might crack it and then actually resubmit that one to see if I can at least get a 9 on it. Because if I get a 9 on it, it's going to give me another $30, $35 in value for a $15 gamble on it. And since I pulled it myself, both those Lugias myself, there's not much risk on it on my end to do another grade on that. Also, I mean, if I spend $30 in grading and can still sell it at $180, I'm still not doing bad. It's worth the risk, because if I can get the 10, then that bumps it up to a $270 card. So it's a significant jump to go from that 8.9 to a 10, because right now an 8 is about $170, a 9 is about $190, and then if you can get the 10, it's $270, $280 for that particular card. So let's see, Aaron Scott. I've been seeing ton of off-center PSA 10s lately. I prefer CGC PSA paying for the name, and that's exactly what it is, Aaron. I mean, personally, I like AGS. I've been sending more of my personal collection to AGS because I like the visual camera doing the work. It's a robot AI grading versus a person. The AI doesn't care how their day went. I mean, it's not gonna change what they're visually seeing on those particular cards. Selling wise, it's very difficult to sell AGS cards. So I have seen about $100 to $50 to $100 discrepancies on particular cards, and I'm going to show you one that I have right here. Pull it. So this is one of them I sent for AGS. This is the first AGS 10 of this particular card. And with it being a 10, the PSA version of this particular card is selling for about $243. If I were to sell the AGS version, now that someone has a 10 and they're trying to sell a 10, the AGS version of this just sold on eBay here about a month ago or 5 weeks ago for only $162. So there's an $80 difference, even though personally the grading is harder on this AGS card. So personally, I think this is a better grade. This grade is more true than what we would see with PSAs. There's a lot more PSAs. There's only 4 of these particular cards in an AGS 10, while there's over, I think there's 1,000 of them right now in PSA, but yet the value is quite a bit different, which is why if you're going to be going for grading for selling, then you want to be looking at PSA. If it's for your personal collection and you want to keep it, I personally like AGS. I like the robo grading. I know it's a true grade, and I know the grade that I get is probably exactly what it should be based on the visuals of that particular card. Another one, this Charizard over here on the shelf is an AGS too. I graded that one also. That was our first Charizard we pulled. It got a 9.5. And I mean, it missed the 10 by that much. I mean, it was like point something off from a 10. It's another example where if I were to probably crack that and send it to PSA, it would get a 10. The AGS Charizard at a 9.5 right now sells for $150. If you get a PSA 9, it sells for $150, and a 10 is going to go over $200 for that particular card. All right, so how do you feel about a play on AGS slabs now for a long-term play? If they continue to be successful, I see them being great long-term. I could see them being very, very competitive with PSA and CGC and Beckett at the end of the day. I think overall, I like the way that they grade. I like the way that they come out. I like their slabs because they're the same as a PSA, and they fit very well into, they're the same exact size. So if you take a PSA slab, and this slab, they're actually the exact same slab. So they stack, they do exactly what they're supposed to. The only difference is on the slab is that they literally took, so down below, I know you're not going to see it. So down here, there's the PSA marking, and down here, they switched the die out for an AGS. So overall, identical slabs, identical everything. It's just, it is what it is, right? They're just using PSA slabs and putting AGS names on them. So overall, slabs wise, they stack the same. They go together. They don't use the matte finish, which to me, I like. I like the not matte finish on the AGS. So PSA around the border, around the card has the matte. The AGS is very clean. It's clear all the way through there. That's another thing that I do like about it. Storage wise, they'll store right with the PSA, so it'll fit right in there. But overall, I think if they continue to do well, they don't cut corners, they continue to use AI, let the grading be what the grade is instead of doing like even CGC did. We're going to be tough on 10s and then back off of that. Now, my first 10s are better than my new 10s, and PSA did the same thing. My first 10s are weaker than my new 10s because they grade 10s harder now, and that's a big issue that I do have when it comes down to it on all of those grading companies. So if AGS can stay the course, continue to let the robot do the grades, don't open it up so it's easier to get 10s or, that kind of stuff, then they could do extremely well, I think, in the future. Because I like consistency more than I care about, trying to skip in and get this better grade. Kanye, I would never invest in AGS. I would rather have raw cards. And that's a matter of opinion. Once again, I like AI grading. I think that a non-person is a better opportunity than a person grading my cards. The guy spilt the coffee on his lap and he's ticked off. He's going to give me really, really low grades. I definitely could see that argument that, he's going to grade harder that day because he's mad. And that's something that I don't enjoy and don't like. Even Beckett's shown me time and time again that really frustrating is that there's one grade that no matter what you do in Beckett and no matter what grading company you have should be consistent all the way through. And CGC and Beckett, since they put the subgrades, have consistently showed this problem. The centering changes. If I send a card in for grading, you are judging the centering should always be the same. The corners should be the same. You should be able to measure the corners. The edges are subjective. It depends on how you look at it. The surface is subjective depending on how you look at it. So those are subjective ones. Why does the centering change? The centering should never change. You should never be able to change the centering unless I cut the card. So when the centering moves a hole from an 8 to a 9, or from a 9 to an 8.5, or from a 10 to an 8, that's just crazy, because that's once again, it's someone viewing it differently. I mean, I don't do graded cards, raw only, but I was just wanting your 2 cents. Yep. PSA is king. Yeah, PSA is king. I won't even argue that statement at all. PSA is definitely the better selling point. It's the top grading company. It's the #1 right now, best reputation for grading, and I don't see that changing anywhere in the near future unless something really happens that changes it. I'd rather have a drunk guy at PSA grading my card. It depends on what you're trying to do with them. I mean, if you're trying to sell them, I absolutely agree. PSA is going to give you your better price. If I'm going for personal collection, I want to know it's a great card. I'd rather have an AI do it. I'd rather have the robot do it, because with my machining background, I can tell you one thing. A computer with a lens can 100% see things that you never will. It can check centering, it can check the edges, it can check for whitening, it can check for scratches. I've done this in machining and in manufacturing. We have computers that do all of our grading and quality QCs on all of our production lines, with them lines running full speed. You can't even barely see the stuff go by, and that stuff is grading and checking that, keeping it in standard. And it can checks every pocket of a particular line and doesn't miss a thing. But I also see other companies to transition into robo grading, and then the perception might change that. And that's just it. I'm actually surprised, Digi, that someone hasn't tried to buy out AGS. I always figured that CGC or Beckett or PSA might try and buy out AGS in order to take that technology. And can you imagine if PSA were to take robo grading and buy them out and then put that as their grading source? It would be ultimate grading on top of the king of grading. So it'd just be a huge, huge thing. Have you tried and resubmitting? Nope. Kanye, I actually did great. I did do that. I broke one and then sent it on a second submission for my cards, and it was within 0.002 difference, which is minutely different, and it did not change any of my subgrades. So yeah, no, they are very consistent. And like I said, it just comes down to, and I was very careful when I broke it out that I did not do anything. Computers malfunction, so do people. Computers malfunction, so do people. Actually, in our QC, the people would lie and cheat more than a computer malfunctioned, because they were trying to meet standards and meet things that they get their productions right. They would fudge numbers and change the numbers. Computers don't do that. They may malfunction. I'll give you that. It can be programmed wrong. I get that. But at the end of the day, they are a lot less likely to make a mistake than someone fudging numbers to make something look different. And that's the other thing, Aaron Scott. I could definitely see him doing that too. Buy it to get rid of it. It's a direct competition. 10 years down the road and the technology continues to improve, we definitely could see them come up. For nothing. Yeah, I sent the mint card. I sent, where is it? It's over here. Hold on. Yeah, this one. So I sent this one twice. I've got the old tags somewhere around here. But I sent this card, Kanye. I sent this one twice, and it came back a 9.5 both times. Subgrading only changed like a minuscule amount, like 0.00. It was so close that you wouldn't really notice it. It wouldn't change the grading. I haven't worked in manufacturing for a while. I do HVAC now. I was a machinist for a long time for mold making. I did that for almost 10 years and then went back to back to HVAC, which I enjoyed more. Let's see here. Holding 50 evolving ETBs, hoping it'll go $400. You mean evolving? Yeah, if you're talking evolving skies, ETBs, definitely possible. I mean, the ETBs are doing well. I don't know if 400 in the next few years is possible. That's going to be a lot for the amount of ETBs out there currently, but anything's possible with evolving skies. That set's just been kind of crazy. That's too easy for it. How are you judging a card on too easy? Which card do you want me to do? Let me break open here, Kanye. We'll do this. Which one you want? I'll send it back and I'll show you the numbers. I'll even do the Mimikyu again if you want, but you're saying it's too easy. I got a Professor Oak back there, and I got a Charizard V. Try AGS 6. What do you mean AGS 6? I got an AGS 3.5 because I was seeing how it did. So you want me to send... I got a 3. This one has all kinds of issues on the back. I was trying to check to see how well they would see it. We could do that. But why would send him in? Well, that's just it. I mean, I sent one because I was testing this one. Like I said, Digi, I sent this one. Oh, he wants a VMAX. No borders. Well, I'd have to send... I don't know what I got for a VMAX. Charizard's the only VMAX I could send VMAX. That again. I think, what else do I got? That's the only VMAX I sent. I could send a Charizard. Do the 3.5. I can do it. I'll send the 3.5. Because that one had... So the 3.5 had all kinds of manufacturing issues. So there's tons of whitening on the back. It's like it got rubbed in the machine. So I sent it to see what it would see for the actual camera side. And I was really impressed on how it found. He means no borders. Yeah, I only got one VMAX and I don't really want to break my Charizard out. What's your opinion on Vivid Voltage packs? I know a place that has like 50 plus sleeve booster packs just sitting. Vivid Voltage, I think that still say that Chase 4 Pikachu would be definitely a big thing in the future. Overall, I think as long as they're in a cardboard sleeve, then I think you're good overall. Do that for a video. Don't just do it in whim right now, LO. Oh, I will. No, I'll do that. I'm going to break that out. I'll open up this Bolton V. Like I said, it's just... I don't know if I can see it. Let me see. I'm going to switch down here real quick. Because... yeah, this whole edge is just all whitened up. You can actually see right where my finger is right there. That edge is all white, and it's like the whole back. There's like dots down here. And this was packed fresh. There's rub marks here. There's all kinds of little issues that are on here. Little dots and marks, whitening. I mean, this thing looks like it was just beat up. So, yeah, why not do that as content? I'll break that open at 3.5, and I will send that out and see what it does. Be kind of interesting to do a really rough one like that because it already had a lot of issues, and those issues could definitely be interesting to see how they turn out. Yeah, I'll do another test. Like I said, I did the Mimikyu on my own just because I wanted to see. And personally, it's a 9.5. I was hoping I could trick it into a 10, and it didn't work. They literally came out the exact same on that one. So I was hoping to trick that 9.5 into a 10 because I wanted a 10 Mimikyu on that particular training gallery card. No. They were so consistent on that they did not give me the little... That's another one that missed the 10 by very few numbers, and I couldn't get it past. How heavily printed do you guys think Obsidian Flame will be printed? I don't know. Consistently wise, they haven't been seeming to overprint Scarlet and Violet, and I think that they have a good marketing team that realizes that's going to be slow at the beginning. Um, and I think that they also do feel that if they want to, they could always go back and reprint more. So I think you'll see a little bit more than what you will with the base set and with Palette Evolve, just because I think that they know it's going to be a little bit hotter with that Charmeleon box and everything else, the promo that's coming inside of there also. But I would think it'd be right, like Digi just put up here. I think it's going to be more than slightly more than Darkness Ablaze. I think I could see that, or right around Darkness Ablaze allocations at the beginning. So I'm right with them for it being the third set, and then of course having that nice promo, that nice ETB, and that Pokemon Center ETB. And if you have not pre-ordered that, I would highly suggest pre-ordering that particular box. I think that one's going to become difficult if it's still available. I haven't checked in the last 2 days. I set my pre-order on the last week for the Pokemon Center ETB on that one particularly. I think it's going to be a really hot commodity. That Charmeleon box is really cool looking, so definitely going to be a huge selling point. Do not short print, like, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of liking some of the quantities because, once again, we're not getting everybody coming into it. And I think overall I think that they're doing some really good things in the print rate. For me, Scarlet and Violet still fairly readily available. I mean, I can get the cardboard sleeve boosters just about anywhere right now. GameStop, Walmart, all of them still have them in stock and pretty good quantities of them. Even the ETBs are still coming in. We're getting waves of the Scarlet and the Violet ones coming in pretty easily. So yeah, he says the Pokemon Center ETB is still available. Yeah, I think that if that's going to be one of them, I think will be a really good ETB. I ordered the maximum on that with 4. The other ones I've ordered only 1 or 2. So Scarlet and Violet, I ordered 1 of each, and then Palette Evolve, I only ordered 2 of them. So I ordered all 4 of them of the Obsidian Flame. I think that's going to be a really cool ETB, especially the Pokemon Center one. I think that there's going to be some good value that one personally in the future. Last guy that did something on a whim on YouTube accidentally stabbed his... Oh, no. Yeah, no, I don't go on them kind of tangents, thank goodness. IFOMO? IFOMO? No, I don't do anything like that, so... Definitely would be content again. I mean, I did it as when I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to do with AGS. That's the reason I did the one. I just did my first order and then I resubmitted it with the second one and it just came through. But I'll do that one as content. That'd be a good one because there is a lot of things going on in it. And it'll be really interesting to see how that would go. Yeah. I'm going to have to look that up because that would just be heartbreaking to see if you did that. Stabbed your own Moonbryon with a screwdriver. Then he probably just put it on TCG Players lightly played for the same price as the other ones. You know, just rocking through it. No big deal. So, well, like normal, guys, I was going to try and keep this around an hour and a half. So if you guys got any more questions or any more discussion, definitely open to it for another 15 minutes here. Having some really good discussion about the AGS. It was rough to watch. Oh, it was DK cards? Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely go check that one out because that would be very upsetting. And like I said, it's probably went on TCG Players lightly played after the video. But yeah, no, like I said, futuristically, I think that Scarlet and Violet and Pokemon is going to be, it's going to take a little bit, just like every era. Every time we go through this, it's the exact same thing. We see the same kind of thing happening. Overall, I think there's some really good things futuristically. I like the way that Pokemon has gone with these, you know, the evolutionaries coming up with the rarities, so you can get those 2-star rarities for the first 2 evolutions and then the 3-star evolution at the other end. And it's definitely going to be a good thing overall. I think that they're going to be really cool. Like I said, I think right now in Scarlet and Violet, that play in there is definitely going to be that Gardevoir line. That's the one thing that I've been keying on that particular one. And once again, I talk about sets a lot. and the sets are definitely a way to go. If you can get the complete line of something, it's going to be more valuable. It gives you that little bit of a premium by getting that line of things. So the Gardevoir getting 3 9s or 3 10s or 3 8s would be a better value than just having 1 9 or 2 9s and not having the third one and missing out on it. So I think overall I would watch the pricing of that. There's still a lot of Scarlet and Violet out there, so there's still a potential for that market base to kind of drop in pricing, and there's definitely another one to do. Hey, at least the blunder is getting him a spike in view. Hopefully it's enough to get enough advertisement money, Digi, to buy another one. Did you resubmit your Lugia? No, I was just about to do that also. So I might break that out because I do have a submission I'm working on right now for going to PSA. So I'm slowly working through some of these, some Japanese in here, of course. Another Radiant Charizard inside of here, the Garantina that we pulled here the other day. So I'm going to do another submission going to PSA for that. So I'm probably going to break that Lugia out when I do that and then send that out also. I'm going to just clean it all up, make sure there's no fingerprints on it, and make sure that we get all that stuff cleaned up. And that'll be kind of telling to see how that works. Hopefully we can see some really good, get that through and get that back and some, get it to a 9. I would love to get a 9 on a Lugia V. I mean, I was really disappointed that the one I thought would get a 9, but got a 9, and then the one that I thought would get a 10 because it was just as clean, but had that, whatever reasoning, it got an 8, and I have no idea why. So when you think it's going to get better than the first one and then it comes back worse, it's kind of a little bit disheartening when you don't see. And that's the problem without subgrading, like I said. That's why I do like CGC and AGS, and even Beckett is the subgrading. At least tells you what they've seen. I don't know if they saw something on the surface because I can't find it. I've gone over it with a black light and everything else. And fingerprints can affect grading, yeah. It depends on if, as far as I know, they don't clean the cards. Someone had told me that before, is that you could touch the card and get a fingerprint on it, and it can actually affect the grading of that card. So that's why whenever I work with cards, I make sure that I use like Dawn on my hands beforehand to make sure I don't have any grease or oil on my hands, make sure I don't touch my hair or anything like that, and just be sure that you use the chamois cloth and try and clean off any kind of oil residue, any kind of loose particles on it, and put it in for grading. So yeah, I mean, it's weird. You would think that they would do a little bit checking and cleaning on it, but if it looks like a smudge on the back, I don't think that they try and wipe it off. They just go with it. I just use the microfiber chamois. So you can buy the 25 pack of the microfibers. They make that really soft microfiber cloth, and then I use those and just don't put much pressure and just lightly kind of clean them. Yeah, the metal cards, I know. That's why I don't think there's very many 10s to begin with. That and the quality, the paint was chipping on the corners and stuff like that were really difficult. And I think it depends on the cards too. I mean, the metal cards, they might be a little bit more forgiving. You know, I don't know. That's just what I've been told is, so I make sure that I use the microfiber chamois and try and make sure that there's no fingerprints or lint or any kind of dust or anything on it. Yeah, Freeze, you can just pick them up at Walmart. They got some really nice quality. I picked mine up on Amazon, and I found some really nice quality ones. I spent a little bit more money on them, but when you're working with graded cards, you want something that's going to not damage anything for sure. What am I buying for my sealed collection? Sealed Pokemon Center ETBs are the number one thing I'm still working. I'm keeping up with getting all of those. The only ones I'm missing are the Evolving Skies ones because they went so quick, and I just can't bring myself to buy them, even though I should, because they continue to move up. Otherwise, sealed collection, I've got one booster box from every set, and I'm still trying to continue to get the cases. Trying to keep 2 cases of each release going forward for long term. So that's kind of where I'm at in the sealed cards. I've been working on my Flareon collection. I'm still trying to work through that and get all my sealed collection all taken care of. Gold Star, still out of grasp. I can't quite bring myself to buy a Gold Star when I still have other ones that I want to get first. So, like I said, I finally got that Flareon V, but I do not have a VMAX yet. Yeah, you've been over that, Aaron. I get it. Sealed, must open, cannot leave closed. I get it. I like to open cards too, so it's really difficult sometimes to just leave them alone. Like I said, Flareon Gold Star. That's kind of been the big one. The other thing is too is while I got everybody here, I'll put it on here because we do have the membership down below, and I am going to mention that with the people that are left. This month we did have the giveaway for Crown Zenith, and I will put that up on the member board, of course. So if you're a member of the channel, I do a monthly giveaway for at least two packs of a set. This month was Crown Zenith. Next month, I'm going to do a pack of Cosmic Eclipse. So if you're interested in joining the membership for next month, definitely join in. It's 99 cents. And then I'm doing a pack of Cosmic Eclipse as the giveaway. But Keith Bowie was the one who won the Crown Zenith packs this month. As long as yeah, I get it. Like I said, it's just sometimes I like to see what's in them too. Yeah, Freeze. That's exactly how I am too. It's like you sit there and you open about a booster box worth. For me, it's about a booster box worth, and it's like, why am I spending my money on this when I could literally just go buy this card for the price that I just paid to open it? Most cards. You know, there's a couple that are out there, but still, even if you figure the Moonbryon, if you were to try and pull that, unless you're extremely lucky and get that in one to two booster boxes, realistically now you got 1.5. If you can get it 1.5, so 2 booster boxes plus you might catch another alternate art such as the Glaceon or Leafeon, then you know you can break even on it. But otherwise, if you've opened more than 2, you might as well just gone and bought it, because the price wise just doesn't make sense at $300, almost $400 a booster box. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, and that I enjoy opening packs, just like even tonight I open packs because I do. I'm still a collector and I'm still a player. I enjoy the cards. I enjoy the artwork. It's fun to just be involved in Pokemon. I do like my seal. I need to pay for my habit somewhere because my wife doesn't want me keep moving money from our personal account into Pokemon. Yeah, I admit that I have a problem. So, yeah, once again, like I said, I got it right here. So yeah, join the membership. We're going to be doing a giveaway of a Cosmic Eclipse booster pack for next month. Once again, Keith is the winner of this month for the Crown Zenith. Other than that, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to head out for tonight. Maybe go see my wife a little bit before we go to bed. It's only 10 o'clock here. I don't know. I won't go to bed for a couple hours, but I know she will. But yeah, other than that, guys, if you got any more questions, once again, feel free. I got a couple more minutes here, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Once again, thank you guys for staying with me and joining me tonight. I'm going to try and do more lives and definitely move them around a little bit. It seems like Monday night. You guys must be bored on Monday night because I always get a lot of viewers on Monday night. Typically, Friday nights are pretty rough when it comes down to views. I don't know why. It's like people are out doing things with family and friends or something. So, well, you're in Arizona, Aaron. That's cheating. All right. Well, thank you guys. Like I said, thanks for watching, everybody. It's been about an hour and a half. So otherwise, I'll move this to another night. Let me know in the comments below, in the comments of the video, what time and what date works better for you guys, and then I'll look around too. I'll put it in the on the community page. Do a poll. What day would you like me to do a live on? Maybe you can try and do like a weekly live and then do kind of the same thing. But other than that, guys, thank you guys for joining me. And as always, if you do like the channel, you do like this kind of material and content, hit the subscribe down below. Definitely join the channel. It'll be a lot of fun to continue to grow the channel. It's been doing really well. Thank you guys. And other than that, I will see you guys next time here on Northwoods TCG.